let's talk about forward-looking where we think we're headed on Russia. We don't need to review all of yesterday, but here is political analyst Donald Trump on Fox News this morning analyzing Putin and Zelensky. 113, please.
What has surprised you the most between Zelensky and Putin in terms of their strength or weakness of their position right now?
Well, I think the fact that maybe they're getting along a little bit better than I thought. Otherwise, I wouldn't have set up the 2 meeting. I would have set up the 3, a trilat. But I think they're doing a little bit better. There's been tremendous bad blood. And again, this was all worked out by an administration that didn't have a clue. And if you remember, they said, well, if you made a minor incursion, that would be okay. That was the end. The whole thing when Biden made that statement. But minor incursion, what does that mean? So I think they're doing okay. I wouldn't say they are ever going to be best friends, but they're doing okay. And we're just going to see. So we're setting up a meeting. I sort of set it up with Putin and Zelensky. And, you know, they're the ones that have to call the shots. We're 7,000 miles away, in all fairness. You know, we've spent through the previous administration $350 billion. Europe has spent a lot also, $100 billion, but it should be reversed if we should have been in for anything. But it wouldn't have happened, so that would have been much better because so many people died. This is the biggest bad situation since World War II. There's been nothing even close.
So, Mr. President.
The New York Times is reporting that when the president spoke to Putin about a possible meeting, not clear if they mean the bilateral or the trilateral or both, Putin suggested Moscow, and Trump shot that down, according to the New York Times. ABC News is reporting, this is 114, I believe, overnight, Russia launches massive strikes, largest attack of the month on Ukraine with drones and missiles. A lot of damage done. I don't believe there were any casualties reported for that. Here is political analyst Scott Bessent on CNBC talking about the 2 meetings. 110, please.
Because I want to set the record straight on what went on in Alaska. Alaska was a show of force by President Trump. He invited President Putin to land that the Russians used to own. He displayed a huge amount of military hardware and then did a flyover. It was kind of like inviting your uncontrollable neighbor to your house and showing him your gun case. So then the President Zelensky, we had a very good meeting with him and his team in the Oval for about an hour and a half. And then we met with the European leaders. It was an incredible group to have in the White House, all led by President Trump. And yes, the culmination of that was a call with President Putin. And my strong belief is that there will be a bilateral meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky. And that's the only way to end this conflict, is to get the 2 sides talking.
So he's very bullish on the prospect of a meeting, as is the president and some of the Europeans. But Moscow's public comments, at least, have been more, let's say, vague or indecisive. Lastly, here's Marco Rubio last night on Fox 104.
When we have a deal, I'll describe it to you for sure. But look, that's why you got to give these guys space to work. I mean, they have their own constituencies, okay? They have their own considerations, and you don't want to give away one side's leverage in that regard. But let me just say this about it. I think everyone understands that some of the key elements to bringing this about is Ukraine has to feel safe moving forward. In essence, they have to believe that at the end of this war, they are in a position to never get invaded again. I think what's also true, and I think it's common sense, and I don't know why it's so hard for a lot of people to understand it, is in any negotiation to bring about the end of a war, or any conflict for that matter, it's going to require both sides to receive, but also to give. In essence, one side's not going to get 100% here. Each side is going to have to make some concessions. And obviously land, or where you draw those lines, where the war stops, is going to be part of that conversation. And it's not easy, and maybe it's not even fair, but it's what it takes in order to bring about an end to a war. And that has been true in every war. The only wars that don't end that way are the ones that have unconditional surrender by one side or the other, and we're not going to see that in this conflict. So obviously the issue of that will be talked about, and the president's been very clear. In the end, what those lines look like are up to Putin and up to Zelensky and up to the Ukrainian side to decide what each one can live with. We are going to be there to facilitate that and make that possible and make sure that both sides are talking.
All right. So my view is that the ball is in Putin's court right now on the two biggest things. One is, will he meet? And two is, will he accept the kind of security, U.S. European-backed security arrangements that were the big headline out of yesterday's meetings and seem to be the main thing that the Ukrainian side is getting out of this deal. So, Dan, let's do the first one first. Is Putin going to accept a two-way and then a three-way meeting, as the U.S. side thinks he will?
I don't think he will for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to, yeah, I don't know if we want to just do one-word answers here.
Yeah, we can go a little more. I mean, what you think he'll stall, but then eventually accept, or?
Yeah, I think he's going to have like his people, lower level deputies meet and talk. And I think I just can't see him sitting down and giving Zelensky the status of a negotiation where Zelensky gets something in front of Vladimir Putin. I just think he won't do it.
Sean, will we see a bilateral or trilateral?
So I have two competing thoughts in my head right now that I can't square. The one is, after 200 days, I don't believe you bet against Donald Trump. Every time that he has seen a political obstacle in the last 200 days, he's overcome it. As he did, frankly, most of his last 10 years. But I think in the last 200 days, he has shown an ability to do things that politically would be untenable for almost anyone else. That being said, just look at last night. I mean, we're on the precipice of all this stuff and everybody's saying the right thing, and then Putin goes out and just blows stuff to crap. Like, you can't square that. This is not a guy who was looking for a deal. I hate to say, I actually think Macron's got a point here, but Macron seems to be on Team Spicer, which is Trump says he can do it. I want to trust him. I know he can do it, but I don't trust Putin. And that's where I think I am right now. There's one thing that I think is the missing piece. Like, we talk about land swaps, we talk about security. There's an economic piece that has not been discussed. So this Alaska thing, we talked about the participants, Lutnick, Besant, right? What was it that was discussed on the economic front that we're not talking about? There's no way that there was things on the economic front in terms of future trade. That's the one thing that I think that we have that Putin really wants. He wants back into the club. And there are things that I think he said that Trump gave assurances to. If you do this, we'll talk. And that's why that hot mic moment that sort of went viral last night of him saying, believe it or not, I think he wants a deal, is because there's that one thing that we have, which is international acceptance and economic access that he can't get without us.
Dan, if there's no meeting agreed to by the end of the week or into the weekend, does that end it? And does Trump start with sanctions?
No, because I don't think Trump wants to go the sanctions. So I think the deputies will meet. They'll meet in Vienna or someplace.
I'm skeptical that either Ukraine or the U.S. would go for that.
You can't do deputies first. It's just not gonna. It's either you're at this point where you either got to go out,
Sean, would Trump want to say then I failed?
No, but he will go sanctions.
That's it. I think they do accept it.
Okay.
No, I think that Putin does things, and then Trump, for all of the talk, and this is what I love about this about DC and the media. All of this, Trump's going to cave, Trump's going to cave, Trump's going to cave. And now everyone's like, wow, the only one who can pull it off is Trump. 5 days ago, the entire narrative was that he's going to get in a room and bully Zelensky. And yesterday was proof positive that wasn't true.
Okay.
And he got no credit for it. But
let's just stay on this question, just yes or no. If Putin doesn't agree to a meeting after some period of time, does Trump in Europe and Zelensky say we're done with negotiations? Now we're going sanctions, armaments, everything? Yes.
I don't think he says we're done, but I think he goes full sanctions and says, fine, we'll force you back.
Dan, you agree?
I think if they haven't, I think by October, Putin will agree to meet. But this is where I said yesterday, Trump's patience. Putin's going to try to string this along to gain more leverage.
It's not impossible. I don't believe that's possible.
Well, look, but then Mark, if you're Trump and if you're Trump, you've come this far, it would be a humiliation would he really walk away or
Well,
say
it's more,
"Fine,
more,
deputies
more.
are me"?
It's also humiliating to be accused by Putin of, or to be accused by people of kowtowing to Putin.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree.
So, want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the Two Way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.